Sport Clips Haircuts and ESPN are teaming up for a Dad's Day getaway. An all-expenses-paid trip to ESPN and a day spent with Golic and Wingo on their show. Register for your chance to win at sportclips.com/ESPN. No purchase necessary. See rules at sportclips.com/ESPN. U.S. only. Age 18 and up and 6/15/18.
I tell you, it's always a great day here on Golic and Wingo, but if you're just tuning in and you don't really know the show that well, I'm telling you, this is going to be an epic day today because we have plenty of just bizarre, ludicrous stories that I cannot wait to dive my teeth into. I'm Adnan Virk, the captain, in for Trey today. We're Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News alongside Mike Golic and Mike Golic Jr. As always, we are presented by Progressive Insurance. Honestly, guys, this day is bizarre.
Yeah. Can I start it really quickly in a way that my son Mike is now Herm Edwards?
Why would you want to start it there? We've got Twitter burner accounts in play. We've got an NBA Finals that's set.
So in case anybody doesn't remember, Herm Edwards was on one morning with me and my son, and we were talking about I don't know what we were talking about, but we brought up Game of Thrones, quite honestly, because that was the most important thing about it. We were talking about Game of Thrones, and Mike had not seen the last episode and had it, taped and wasn't going to watch it and told everybody, I don't want to hear anything about it. And right as we're going to break, Herm Edwards said, I'm just going to give you a little taste. Yeah. And we're like, okay, a little taste. He said, bad guy's got a dragon, which is like one of the biggest storylines ever. Mike loses his mind. So we're all about Herm and giving something away. Yeah. 2 minutes before the show, you've seen Deadpool 2. Mike, you went and saw it last night.
Yeah.
One of the things I heard about it was after it's over, one of the outtakes or one of the things they show during the credits is hilarious. And you just said it to Adam and talked about it right in front of me.
Well, first off,
I didn't see it.
First off, his name's Adnan. That's a fine.
Whatever. I'm so
Mike's
caught
so
up in
upset
this
right now. Yeah, the exact words Mike Jr. said was, I saw Deadpool 2 last night. I'm like, oh, yeah. And you go, how about that great, speaking of Canada, great outtake, and then you went ahead and spoiled it.
You could have just stopped the great outtake. You said what it was right in front of me.
About.
All right, listen. First things first here. One, get Adnan's name right. He's a guest on our show this morning.
Adnan knows I know his name.
Show him a little more respect than that.
You know what?
Don't deflect.
You're deflecting. You're deflecting.
Second off, don't compare what I did and what Herm did. Herm gave away a crucial plot element that had been years in the making that I had spent a large portion of my life on. I gave you a spoiler that is inconsequential to the plot and one that, quite frankly, you're not going to remember by the time you go and see this movie. You're not going to remember.
You're deflecting. All I want you to do, just man up and admit you shouldn't have done it in front of me.
No.
Oh, see, that's just poor. You know what that is?
Yeah.
That's poor parenting by me.
See, I'm just poor parenting by me. I'm glad you recognize who's at fault here.
That's poor parenting. I apologize to myself.
I want to go back to how Herm actually spoiled it. Because Herm gets so theatrical.
Yeah,
hey.
And the way he did it, he paused right before. Just give me a little bit. Give me a little bit. And he paused, and I mean, they were literally, Adnan, counting down in our ear to the end of the show. He just went, bad guy got a dragon. And we're like, no, you didn't do that.
He said to me once, he goes, I know you love the movies. He goes, I don't know a lot about it. He goes, but I love that dragon. Anytime that dragon comes, I'm like, man, we got a dragon. I'm like,
he's a piece of work.
Man, I would love to love anything as much as Herm loved that dragon. I love telling everyone about that dragon.
He didn't really realize what he gave away either.
You know what? Him and Brian Colangelo probably have something in common in that regard.
Oh, boy. Yeah. All right. Way to bring us back to reality.
I got you guys.
Yeah. Golic and Wingo, presented by Progressive Insurance. Here's our guest list for today. Buster Olney at 7:10. Laurent Duvernay-Tardif at 8:05. Tony Rizzo at 8:30. Stephen A. Smith at 9 o'clock. All phone guests join us in the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. If you miss any of those guests, you can listen to all 4 hours on demand in the ESPN app. So we got plenty to get to.
Let's really quickly, for those that you said the name Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, those you may not know when you say that name who that is. He is the starting right guard for the Kansas City Chiefs who got his medical degree. He is a doctor. I mean, it is one of the great stories going on. So that's the name. That's why we're going to bring him on. He is now a doctor who wants to get MD put after his name on his jersey, which I think is the coolest thing around. So we look forward to talking to him.
Just see, you put in the work, you deserve whatever props you want to get. All right, so here is what's trending. And trust me, we're going to get that Brian Colangelo story in just a second, which Mike Jr. teased. But first off, Serena Williams wearing an all-black bodysuit with a red waistband won her first Grand Slam match as a mother. First match at a major in 16 months, 7-6, 6-4 over Kristina Pliskova at the French Open. She fell behind 3-0 in the first set tiebreaker, then won 6 points in a row. But obviously the greatest female tennis player of all time, Mike. Awesome to see her back. And as a mom, triumphant.
Well, a couple of things. First, you get, the rust there, falling behind, as you mentioned, 3-11 in the first set, and then down 2-0 in the second set before she came back and won each set. Have we ever gone to a guys match and said, oh, there's Rafael Nadal in a all-white, what is this? Well, it's the first line back wearing an all-black bodysuit with a red waistband. What are we, at the Oscars? We had the red carpet here?
I had the same question. I can explain why. She actually tweeted out a picture of this and said, catsuit anyone. For all the moms out there who had a tough recovery from pregnancy, here you go. If I can do it, so can you. Love you all. So Serena, who is very fashion conscious, who wants to pay homage to the other mothers out there, went out, balled out yesterday, got her win at the French Open, and wanted to do it in style.
Okay, all right. It just seemed very odd to me when I first read. Oh, of course, Brett has more. It's been not even 6 minutes, and he's already on the show. Yeah, Brett.
Apparently, the bodysuit helps with her circulation. She had blood clot issues after she gave birth. She's been struggling with that. It helps her.
Okay. Well, I mean, that would have been. I would have rather have read that wearing an all-black bodysuit because it helps with circulations for the blood clot issues that she had. I swear, I thought you were at the Oscars.
Right.
Hey, what are you wearing? I'm wearing an all-black. An all-black bodysuit with a red waistband.
I agree. It was very out of place in this. It required a little more information, but I figure with it up top there, and so it's interesting on the motherhood note because I was doing Snapchat Sports Center yesterday, and we had this note handed that she's one major title away from tying Margaret Court for the all-time nod atop the women's singles list. Mm-hmm. Margaret Court, who won her final 3 major titles after giving birth to her first child. So it is not necessarily uncharted territory, but high, lofty area for Serena and company.
We'll add to that as well, and what we talked about yesterday, the last person to win a major being ranked outside the top 100, which Serena is, was Kim Clijsters in 2009, I believe, after the birth of her first child as well.
Right. Yeah. Well, that brings it home. That's pretty good.
That? Full circle there. And onward we go.
All right. Trailing 5-3 entering the ninth inning. How about what happened in the Yankees game?
2-2. Line to right field. It is a base hit. Here comes Andujar. Here's the throw. Andujar's in there. And the Yankees win 6-5. A walk-off single for Gleyber Torres.
All right, Michael K. there with the call as the Yankees rally to beat the Astros 6-5 in extras. Yankees' 5th win this season when trailing entering the ninth inning, 2 more than any other team in baseball. The Brewers, the other team, as Torres, the game-winning RBI, the youngest player in Yankees history, a walk-off RBI, multiple games of the season. It's amazing, guys. With all the talk about Stanton and Judge and Sanchez, then you got a guy like Gleyber Torres, just bring him up, and the kid already is ready to go. A star is born in the Bronx.
And then the talk about the pitching that I think has been left behind a little bit because of the great hitting, and we didn't even mention the guy who had the big day yesterday, and Brett Gardner. Yep. He was 4 for 5 with 2 home runs. I mean, they have sticks everywhere on this team, so pretty impressive. And on the other side, we talked about the great pitching by Houston, and Charlie Morton was up yesterday, 7-0, was like 3rd in the league in ERA. He did have 10 strikeouts. It was recorded his 4th 10 strikeout game this season. But he did give up 3 runs and 2 home runs and 8 hits along the way. So a little bit of both on good and bad.
Strength on strength in a game that went to extras and ended in this fashion. But it's a reminder of the Warriors-like capability of this New York Yankees roster because all those comeback victories indicate they can turn it on. And when they do, there's a top level there that really exists for very few other teams that have this kind of power. To your point, it's not even the name that you would expect out of this bunch. It's far down the list. So another impressive outing for this Yankees batting order.
Yeah, Red Sox beat the Jays as well. So Red Sox and Yankees keep going toe-to-toe. Yankees showed some late-game confidence once again. Conference theme brought to you by National Mortgage Lender Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently.
All playing for second behind my tribe. That's all. All I got to say.
Yeah, by the way, I just called the Indians game Memorial Day. I'll tell you a little stories about Cleveland in just a second. Also, Shohei Ohtani making his 8th start on the mound this season. The L.A. Angels at the Tigers. Two-way rookie from Japan has not pitched since May 20th. If you recall, Sunday it should have been Tanaka versus Ohtani, which would have been amazing. Instead, Mike Scioscia ended up moving Ohtani, although he did DH in that game. Got a walk, struck out twice against Tanaka. But overall, In case you're wondering, the Ohtani update, he's 4-1, 3.35 ERA, so he's pitched well and he's hit well. 291, 6 home runs and 20 RBI. Many were skeptical if someone could do this all season long. So far, so good for Ohtani.
We were talking about would he hit more home runs or give up more home runs. I think he's given up 5. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's given up 5 and hit 6, so we're right there right now. The only little glitch is had the little ankle issue that went on early on. And we have these second spectrum stats that work. Well, in baseball, we have the fan graphics pitch values. How about this? And I'm not so have fun with the numbers. Yeah. Ohtani has thrown 157 splitters this season and allowed 1 hit. Batters are 1 for 44 in at bats ending on the pitch against Ohtani. There you go. There's your fan graphic pitch value.
Just fan graph. That's a fine too.
Oh, it is fan graph.
We have 2
shows how much I care about the names.
Yeah, you're not big on. I was gonna say not a big sabermetrics guy, Dad.
Not really. No, not really. But that's pretty impressive.
That is pretty.
The singular power of one pitch for this
impressive.
Guy who's been impressive in a number of regards is definitely worth mentioning.
I wouldn't have read it if it wasn't important. I just didn't get the name right.
Reading. Oh, jeez.
I want you to show hey the way.
Fan graph pitch value.
Tough crowd.
It's made into a graphic. Fan graph.
I love how you're trying to save this. The Stanley Cup Final continues tonight. Vegas Golden Knights looking to get a 2-0 series lead. Only 2 active franchises took a 2-0 lead in their first Stanley Cup Final appearance, and both went on to sweep the series. That'd be the Devils in 95 and the Avalanche, formerly the Nordique, in 1996. Capitals, meanwhile, looking for their first ever Stanley Cup Final win. They're 0-12. Only one franchise has lost more Stanley Cup Final games without a win. That'd be the St. Louis Blues, 0-12. And there's some synchronicity there. The Blues were an expansion team that made the final, but that was back in 68. They had 6 expansion teams. So, of course, one was going to make it out of the West. But Blues have never done it. Caps just got to get on the board. It was a high-scoring game in that game 1.
10 goals.
So we'll see what happens tonight. Vegas can go 2-0.
Golden Knights 7-1 at home this postseason. By the way, the Capitals are 8-3 on the road. So would not be shocking if they were going to split. Obviously, the big thing to me is what kind of show they're going to put on, what kind of Vegas show they will put on a pregame. And news out of there as far as the Capitals and their players. Tom Wilson not going to get suspended for his hit on Jonathan Marchessault. So basically the league said it was shoulder to shoulder, not shoulder to head. It was within the flow of the game, and while the hit was late, it was not egregiously late in their terms. So that's why he didn't get suspended. Wilson has been suspended for 3 games this postseason, so he's on the ice, an important player, certainly.
That word egregious has come up in a couple of different regards, and I'm very interested. I know this isn't on the NHL subject, but that was a big hit and a big point of contention. And in Major League Baseball, I know we've got Buster Olney coming up too, but the slide with Anthony Rizzo over the weekend at home plate that Joe Torre in Major League Baseball came out and said was out of line.
Because the ump said it wasn't.
Yeah,
right?
the umps ruled at the time that there would be no penalty, that nothing wrong happened. Major League Baseball came out and disagreed, but said it wasn't egregious, it wasn't a dirty play. I'm wondering what it takes to be egregious at that point, and I'm very interested, Adnan, to hear from you, to hear from Buster, because to me that looked egregious. Both instances appeared to match that description.
100%. I love Rizzo. He's a great player. I know he's hard-nosed, but yeah, you watch the replay of that, I'm like, are you kidding? When you see it frame by frame, he's clearly going out of his way to take out the catcher. This is the whole point of this Buster Posey rule, is to protect the catchers.
I think the toughest part for players who are caught in the transition. In the NFL, you're caught in the transition of how to hit a wide receiver and how the hits are on the field of what you were doing and now what you're told to do. What you were taught in baseball about how to break up a double play. Not going to lie, I'm really getting tired of the clock.
I'm with you on that, Mike.
Of how to break up a double play, right? Mm-hmm. And that changed with the Buster Posey injury, but players in the transition, I think, are the ones having the toughest time, because that's one of these instinctual break up the double play. This is how I do it, which now turns out to be wrong by, well, the ump said not by rule, but then Joe Torre said it was.
Yeah. One more. And also some NFL news. Veteran wide receiver Brandon Marshall will sign a 1-year deal with the Seattle Seahawks. Multiple sources telling ESPN Marshall has never appeared in an NFL playoff game. He's also played for the Broncos, Dolphins, Bears, Jets, and Giants. 6 seasons with at least 100 receptions. The most by any player in NFL history. Wow, that's shocking to know. But the problem is, how much more does he have left in the tank?
Well, that is true. We'll see. The failed experiment with the Giants. They lost Paul Richardson, their fourth leading receiver, second in yards, I believe. He went to the Washington Redskins. So they bring in Brandon Marshall, instantly up their height level.
Is that the tallest receiver the Seahawks have had in the Russell Wilson era?
How
in all seriousness?
Yeah, outside of Jimmy Graham, tall tight end who they lost as well. Mm-hmm. But this one's interesting because I heard people bringing up our own Darren Woodson talking about
Dez Bryant.
Well, I mean, this was a $2 million investment at most. Dez Bryant turned down 3 for $21, I believe it was, with the Baltimore Ravens. So, you wonder about what Dez is looking for money-wise, is he still looking for a job?
It's also interesting with me, too, just a bigger picture with those two. Dez Bryant, the career arc for him has been a guy that I think because he played for the Cowboys and was with Tony Romo, talked about a lot more. Brandon Marshall moved around to a lot more teams. Yeah. Better career of Brandon the two. Marshall, because you look at the stat line for Brandon Marshall over the course of his career, and there's maybe one season, that 2014 season with Dez Bryant, that can maybe match up to the things that Brandon Marshall did across the board on those different teams.
It's true. Didn't get the notoriety maybe because, like I said, not winning franchises, poorer teams.
Never played in a playoff game.
Right.
But he's definitely put up big numbers. There's no doubt about that. All right. Adnan Virk in for Trey today. We are Golic and Wingo, presented by Progressive Insurance. Small business protection just got easier with more than 30 coverage options available. Progressive has you covered. More at progressivecommercial.com. Appreciate you listening on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Mike Jr. along for the ride as well right now. And honestly, NBA Finals is coming shortly. Stanley Cup Final Game 2 tonight, but nothing's going to top this story in terms of entertainment value. Brian Colangelo, the Philadelphia 76ers president of basketball operations, coming under scrutiny in a report by The Ringer. Brian Colangelo is a two-time Executive of the Year, son of Jerry Colangelo, the Hall of Famer. He obviously did a great job resurrecting the Suns. I know him well from his time with the Raptors when Executive of the Year there. Now in Philadelphia trying to get it done again. And this story is honestly, and this is a word that's overused, but it is truly unbelievable.
Yes.
Circumstantial evidence that painting a picture of the NBA front office veteran using multiple anonymous Twitter accounts to support his work in Philadelphia while also taking shots at some of his team's players, including Joel Embiid, Markelle Fultz, as well as former Sixers Jahlil Okafor and Nerlens Noel. Embiid told ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski that Colangelo called him last night to deny the tweets were from him. And Embiid said, I talked to him. He said they didn't say that. He called me just to deny the story. Got to believe him until proven otherwise. If true, though, that would be really bad. Embiid's pretty funny. He can be snarky on Twitter. He tweeted, Joel told me that at Sam Hinkie is better and smarter than you, and then put one of the burner accounts of Colangelo. Now, of the 5 alleged burner accounts, Colangelo did say one of them is his.
Yes.
All right, and he explained it thusly. Like many of my colleagues in sports, I have used social media as a means to keep up with the news. While I have never posted anything whatsoever on social media, I have used this fill all the numbers Twitter account referenced in this story to monitor our industry and other current events. This storyline is disturbing to me on many levels as I'm not familiar with any of the other accounts that have been brought to my attention, nor do I know who is behind them or what their motives may be in using them. If true, though, Mike, he's obviously lost his job, and it's ludicrous that he would go to this kind of level. What kind of insecurity are you at, and what kind of paranoia that you have 5 burner accounts?
Well, I mean, listen, I heard, Mike, you talking about it this morning. Can't wait to hear the old guys talk about this and social media.
I mean, it already started. I was listening to Freddie and Fitzsimmons last night. I mean, those guys going off about how people are the problem and not Twitter. It's going to be an interesting day of taping.
Oh, I have it right now. Here's Freddie from last night. Thanks for taking it up, Mike.
He flat out lied in a statement put out by the Philadelphia 76ers. So I'm not blaming Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, nothing. I'm blaming these fools out there who don't know how to control themselves and thinking they can get away with stuff. He's not sorry he did this. His punk behind is only sorry that he got caught and he's going to lose a job in which he was revitalizing the Philadelphia 76ers. And you're the son of Jerry Colangelo, who has been a major figure in USA basketball, in the NBA or in the Olympics. And this is how you operate? Twitter has nothing to do with the downfall of our society. It's people that continue to be the downfall, Ian Fitzsimmons, of our society when they pull stuff like this.
Wow. Downfall of our society.
I feel like there needed to be some music playing behind that. This is all with the downfall of MySpace, right? I mean, if we still had that around, we wouldn't be having the
top 8s, much simpler times.
So basically the bottom line is here, they're saying he had 5 burner accounts. He admitted to one, said I don't know where the 4 others had come from. not many people, or some are believing him, some are not. Either way, the players and his reputation is going to be gone in Philadelphia. It's probably going to be the end of him there. You're right about the older guys in this, but we know about understanding all this and the work involved to have, if you have that. But we know Kevin Durant, admitted to having one of those, and Roger Goodell's wife had one as well, monitoring what media was saying about him and such. So, listen, I'm sure they're not the only two, that others out there have it as well. I guess I would ask you, Mike, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but do we know how relevant this is? Do we know how often this is done? I mean, I have no idea about this kind of thing, about the burner accounts and extra accounts to monitor this, so obviously your identity isn't known.
Yeah, we see this all the time with Twitter eggs. I mean, the people that are usually most likely to come and criticize people that are in the public sphere are anonymous accounts, so it's not tied back to someone's identity. That's pretty commonplace in the world of Twitter. What's not common is for it to be done with someone in the position like this, and more importantly, the 5. It seems so egregious. I mean, this was all tracked because artificial intelligence picked up similarities between these 5 accounts. And what's more damning is the information, and to your point about his reputation in Philadelphia, what people inside the building know, because this was the most intriguing thing I saw from Woj, who tweeted about this after that and said, maybe there's an IT person who can prove it wasn't Brian Colangelo on here.
Right.
Because when he came out and said that he used one of the accounts, the other accounts went private. There were events that led to all this. But what Woj said is, here's the biggest problem in disputing the Ringer story. Those tweets reflected not only private team business, but launched personal beefs, jealousies, and frustrations that he's shared inside and outside the 76ers. It's what do the Sixers know is information that only Brian Colangelo would know.
Right. We're going to get more into this, but just to emphasize what you said, the Ringer explained it monitored 5 different accounts, and on May 22nd reached out to the 76ers to verify if 2 of the accounts were in fact Colangelo's. On that same afternoon, the 3 accounts that were not mentioned were switched from public to private. The Ringer said it reached back out to the organization asking about all 5 accounts. Yeah. Colangelo confirmed Tuesday that only 1 was belonged to him. So
that's a damning indictment if I've ever heard of one.
This is going a bad way for him.
Public to private like that, come on.
At Trex, we know there's a place for wood in your backyard. We recommend the fire pit. But when it comes down to choosing the right material for your next deck, look no further than the superior beauty and durability of the world's #1 premium decking brand. Trex delivers the look of wood without all of the work and the worry, and it's made from 95% recycled materials, which makes it the right choice for your backyard 100% of the time. To learn how to make Trex your next deck, visit Trex.com to order samples.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
Golic and Wingo right now on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Adnan Virk in for Trey today alongside Mike and Mike Golic Jr. The story that is sweeping the nation. Brian Colangelo has burner accounts. Can you think of a good reason to have a burner account? This is now we have to go to the next level here. Let us know at Golic and Wingo or leave us a voicemail, 860-506-5505. Once again, the number is 860-506-5505 at Golic and Wingo. In case you're just joining us, allegedly Brian Colangelo has 5 burner accounts on Twitter in which, at various times, he questioned Joel Embiid's ego, blamed Markelle Fultz's shooting woes, and a former mentor of the #1 overall draft pick. Pushed a theory that a possible Jahlil Okafor trade fell apart because the big man failed the physical. He called Nerlens Noel a selfish punk. He also took shots at current Raptors president Masai Ujiri as well as previous Sixers GM Sam Hinkie.
This is the perfect question to ask because now that we can get past the headline, to try and go inside the mind of someone here who I'm sure it started with 1. It was 1 burner account to go out here.
And he said it's only 1. Now he is saying the other 4 are his, not his.
Of course, this is all us, deciphering in the weeds. Right. But if it started with the 1 he admits, at what point did he go, you know what? I got too many takes. I got too many things I need to get off my chest. I think I need a second. And then somewhere along the line, he said, you know what? These takes, they're getting real spicy. I need a third. And he worked himself up to 5 5 burner Twitter accounts potentially that were under his watch. That's too much work. That's like guys that have multiple girlfriends. I can bear.
That's multiple fantasy teams, but
okay, you went in different directions there.
Same directions. It's the idea of The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, which is back. People always say, Mike, you should go on there. I can barely deal with one woman at a time. I don't know how you would deal with multiple. Dealing with 5 Twitter accounts on here, there's no wonder you got caught up eventually.
And we're sitting here talking about the players and former people he has worked with, but according to the report, the array of accounts that may belong to a Colangelo followed various people within his personal life, including his son and his son's college basketball teammates. So again, that's why we're asking the question now. It's out there. We know people have burner accounts. Can you think of a good reason to have a burner account? And I'm with you. The work involved in something like that, especially if you have multiple, first and foremost, if any of this is true, he's going to be done, right? You have lost complete trust of anybody. Let's just talk about the job situation. You've lost complete trust within that organization that you're supposed to be the president of, right? It's supposed to be, it trickles down from you, and now everybody's looking up at you and saying, wait, what? Wait, okay, you're saying one, you're denying the other 4, and as Joel Embiid said, I have to take him at his word right now, but if it proves otherwise, and I'm sure in today's world you can figure this out. I don't know that for a fact. I'm not, technology advanced enough.
Well, we'll get fan graphs on it.
Yeah, or fan graphs, fan graphs. Not fan graphic or fan graph. I got it wrong. The baseball stat, fan graphs. Sorry. But, I mean, isn't that first and foremost? We think this is going to be the end of him working in Philadelphia and maybe working in basketball from the trust factor alone?
He was 8 years in Toronto, 2006 to 2013, and Brian Colangelo is a smart guy.
Yes.
Decent to deal with. The one thing I laughed at, though, one of the tweets was defending his collars, which he was very sensitive to the fact the high collars.
Yeah.
Like, Toronto, very fashionable city, he wore the tight suits. I'm like, all right, that one I could see Brian throwing out there because people would make fun of the collars. And one time he mentioned his son, Mike, I just casually before an interview mentioned his son. He goes, well, we don't talk about him. And I'm like, all right, like I'm not going to mention it on the air. Like,
right.
I'm going to just actually ask you something private. So it's odd behavior, but I wouldn't be totally shocked. And to Mike Jr.'s point, you can determine this, okay? I mean, they have artificial intelligence linking up different phraseology, syntax. Like, this can be proven in today's world.
Well, and I'm sure with IP addresses and everything else, like, there are computer sleuths who, if you're in this organization, you have a very real reason to ask and invest time in to find out because there's potentially sensitive information about a trade that went down with this team that was leaked, information about player medical records that were put out into the universe. So all of these things that could have very real ramifications for a guy that was just out here trying to get these takes off, man. If Stu Gatz isn't already making burner accounts for later in the day, him and the Dan Le Batard show are missing a major opportunity.
So our resident Philadelphia fan in Cliff, let's bring him down off the ledge just for a second here and say there is some good news. Brett Brown did get a 3-year extension. So Brett Brown, who was the coach through all the process where this team was getting destroyed, and he was a coach, and the thought was he was going to be Sam Hinkied, and fired, before it all came to fruition. He did get a 3-year extension. Good for him. He's a good guy.
That was exactly what Cliff was hoping for. Cliff said Cliff came over this morning and told me that was the worst part of yesterday for Sixers
Cliff,
fans.
Don't say that. Listen, seriously?
Yesterday was the worst day for the process, period.
Cliff, one second. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. You're a Straight Talk guy. Go ahead.
All right. Yesterday was hands down the worst day of the process, period. So first we got Ben Simmons, who broke up with Tinashe for doing Kardashian things, but then he goes out with Kendall Jenner. Next we got Brett Brown getting 3 years when he should have been fired 3 weeks ago. And now we got our 52-year-old GM who has 5 burner accounts. What are we doing? What is going on?
All right, so one is in
and Joel Embiid's playing pickup in the parking lot.
Bouncing the ball off guys' faces, yeah. And I'm into the, the whole social thing of the dating and all that. I love those magazines, and I love that stuff. But the Brett Brown, come on. I mean, I know you were talking about Jay Wright coming in, and Jay Wright's not going to be the coach. You seriously still think Brett Brown should have been fired?
Listen, here's what the Sixers should do. Listen, they should fire Brian Colangelo and just bring me in. Bring me back home.
Okay, now you're done.
I can bring this team back. I'm telling you. I'll fire Brett Brown right now.
It just went to curve talk instead of straight talk, so we're done with you.
I tell you what, Jay, in his defense, Jay Wright, great collars. Seems like a Brian Colangelo guy.
A very handsome guy. Yes, that's a good call.
Cliff, for crying out loud!
We gave Cliff the forum. That was Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage in America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. Honestly, all this talk about burner accounts, and there's just only one thought that I have. I mean, Freddie Coleman has talked about the decline of American civilization,
right?
And I'm thinking to myself, I got to get me a burner account. Like, I don't know what, Stanzi, can you run one for me? Like, I want to get one going. Like, hey, how come Steve Levy always goes to Stanley Cup final? Adnan's Canadian. He could do that. So why isn't Cinephile getting more of a push here among podcasts?
See, there you go.
Like, I want 5 accounts right now. If I can outsource this, please. Somebody run a burner account for me. I'll do whatever it takes.
Why wasn't Mike Golic Jr. in First and Last asked to be part of First Take Radio Takeover Week?
It's a whole lot of things.
Spain and Fitz, really?
Look, this is the best way to air grievances. Find a burner account. I'm telling you right now. It's therapeutic.
I truly am. Look, and that's why we ask it. Think of a good reason for a burner account. Because the work involved has to be incredible for this.
Right.
It really does.
I have my actual Twitter account. Hang on a second. My burner Twitter account here just to mock Max Bredos.
Like you're not going to confuse him at some point and get yourself into all kinds of trouble. I have a tough enough time with one. But again, I'm not the audience of social media. I'm not very good on it. For those that can do all that.
Now I want you to get a burner account. I want to see how long Golic can go with a burner account before he screws it up.
That would be horrific.
It'd just be him quote tweeting his own Twitter account.
Exactly right.
I agree. This guy, he sounds smart. Hashtag Fangraph.
Look at that. Golic ESPN's getting a lot of likes from this one account. It's ridiculous.
Not the first burner account story we've seen in sports. Kevin Durant had a burner account.
As I said, it was Roger Goodell's wife had the burner that was getting on the media and such, yeah.
Can't believe Mike Golic Jr. wasn't drafted. What a farce.
Oh, my God.
Chris Hubbard?
Wow.
That's who the Steelers kept?
Wow.
It's a deep cut reference for anyone that was around the Pittsburgh camp in 2013.
Really is.
I'm telling you right now, the burner account's the way to go.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah, it did.
Sorry, I took an Ambien this morning.
Hand fast.
Holy smokes.
All right, coming up next, one of the most popular franchises in sports says they're just not there yet. The Golics think they're years behind. Also, once again, can you think of a good reason to have a burner account? Let us know at Golic and Wingo or leave us a voicemail, 860-506-5505, 860-506-5505.
Hey guys, this is Mike Golic.
And this is Trey Wingo.
You ever wish you could wake up early in the morning and have donuts with your dad and us?
For Father's Day this year, you can. We're teaming up with Sport Clips Haircuts for a Dad's Day getaway. An all-expense-paid trip to ESPN, including a day spent with us on the show.
Plus, my son Junior, it is for Father's Day, isn't it?
Register for your chance to win online at sportclips.com/ESPN and make priceless memories.
No purchase necessary. See rules at sportclips.com/ESPN. U.S. only. Age 18 and up and 6/15/18.
And I was disgusted that we actually paid money for The Shape of Water.
13 Academy Award nominations, leading all the numbers.
The dumbest movie of all time. I gotta watch a girl who can't speak and a fish man.
Yes.
No, I gotta watch that.
Spoilers, man.
Come on. Spoiler alert.
That Sports Center brought to you by Discover Card. Seriously, you want to give me grief for spoilers? That's a critical plot element of The Shape of Water you gave away.
Man, come on.
The Fish Man. Mute girl. Getting it in. Nice. Become a new card member, and Discover Card will match all the cash back you've earned dollar for dollar at the end of your first year. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
Dulcet tones of Mike Golic Jr. Adnan Virk in for Trey today. We're Golic and Wingo.
Mm-hmm.
We've having plenty of fun here with these burner account stories, but seriously, let us know what you think. A good reason to have a burner account, let us know at Golic and Wingo or leave us a voicemail, 860-506-5505. All right, we'll get back to the burner account stuff in a second, but seriously, some football stories to pass along, one of which is Zach Martin. So he continues to sit out the team's voluntary offseason work. Cowboys trying to work on a deal for the all-pro guard, but it sounds as if the sides still have a long way to go to get an extension worked out. Cowboys Executive Vice President Stephen Jones said, "We just aren't there yet. We'll continue to roll up our sleeves and get to work on it. Nobody wants to have Zach signed more than we do." Here's the numbers, Mike. Martin's under contract, $9.3 million after the Cowboys picked up his fifth-year option. Now, they expect to make him the highest-paid guard in football. Andrew Norvell of Jacksonville, 5 years, $66.5 million earlier this offseason. But the sides are not there yet. How critical is he?
Well, he's incredibly critical. He's the best guard in the league, or right there in the team picture of it, if you want to put it that way. Yeah. But he's in the position of these going into fifth-year guys like Odell Beckham, correct? and Aaron Donald as well.
Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack.
Right. So all these guys, of which none have gotten the new deals just yet, we're expecting which is somewhat interesting because Odell, you're talking about all three guys are going to be the highest paid of their position. Odell, we have any doubt, will be the highest paid wide receiver. Aaron Donald, without question, is going to be the highest paid defensive player, let alone defensive lineman. And Zach Martin's going to be the highest paid guard. And now he's going in, you correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, working out at the facility, just not going on the field for OTAs. I have no doubt, though, this is going to get done. They need this to get done.
Yeah, this is something that they've seen coming for a while. It's not a surprise payday. It's not a guy who, like Aaron Donald, he's given you none of the reasons that Le'Veon Bell and Odell Beckham Jr. have given you to have any pause. These have been guys that have been integral parts of their team, consummate professionals and known commodities that you need to get under contract. You need to get this done if you're the Cowboys because you've done a good job of paying the guys that you need to pay because that always shows the rest of the team that we're rewarding the kind of behavior that we want to see out of players.
And they seem to know that the deal is going to start at that $66 million mark. You know Zach better than certainly anybody here and as well as anybody in playing on the same line with him in 2012. And we've all gotten to know him. And he's a class individual, an excellent guy, and a great football player. But you know him as a friend as well. Do you think there's any way that he holds out? If he really, outside of just a ridiculously horrible deal, but if they're trying to make him the highest paid guard, you think eventually, while he'll let his agent do the work, but he still has the final decision in this, do you think he ends up holding out?
It would be shocking to me just knowing what a grinder Zach is. He's a guy who relishes going in and doing the work day to day and a guy who values being there to help lead by example for any team that he's on. But he's also, Tom Condon is one of the best in the business and that's his agent. Yep. That's the guy repping him. And so if he knows that's a tool in his arsenal, it's going to help them. I would hope and believe that Zach Martin, who went criminally underrated during his time in college, now understands and is aware of his worth and value to his team and that this is a valuable business tool. And I think when it's all said and done, he's practical and he understands that is a means to an end. It's not an indictment of how he feels about his team or about how they would feel about him. And so I think he would do it if it was necessary.
All right, that's one story with regards to Zach Martin. Another story from the NFL, which is fascinating. A little more than 4 years for being drafted in the NFL, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif achieving another major milestone. The starting right guard of the Kansas City Chiefs graduated from medical school at McGill University in Montreal. We don't have Ivy Leagues in Canada, but if we did, McGill would be one of them. It's the upper echelon of schools in Canada. So this guy's a smart guy, and he earned his Doctor of Medicine, taking another step in a career that he described to ESPN as a really strong plan B. He celebrated his graduation by posting a picture of himself on Twitter wearing a white coat with his jersey number 76, emblazoned in Chiefs colors in the back. This is it, he wrote. Today, I become a doctor.
It's what can you say? And we're going to have him on at 8:05 Eastern today and talk to him about it. The work he had to put in for that. He plans to work under a supervisory physician in emergency medicine. He said he's unsure whether he'll be able to do the residency part-time during his NFL career, which will remain his top priority, but he's enjoyed the balance between the two. What do you say to this? How much can you just stand up and applaud this guy for doing NFL work? He was, a 6th-round draft pick, I believe, and so a 6th-round pick, you're not guaranteed anything. No. And he's a starting offensive lineman in the league and now a doctor as well.
It's amazing, too, that you've got to do this on the back end because we remember what it looked like when Myron Rolle tried to do all of this with Oxford on the front end. You get downgraded because of it, but now this is properly celebrated because when he went and proved to the football people that football was something that mattered to him. He doesn't have to go out and overcompensate for that now. Because this is incredible. He wants the MD on the back of his jersey. That should be the easiest yes in NFL history. Makes for great nicknames for a guy who, based on his name, probably needs it in the locker room. Yeah. Some guy's going to struggle with that bit of French-Canadian that works its way in there.
The LDT.
And here's the beauty of it. I've talked to Andy Reid about this guy, Andy, his coach in Kansas City, and said not only is he a great dude, but he plays with that offensive lineman edge. He's got that nastiness about him as well. So he's a 6th-rounder, wasn't guaranteed anything. He's a starting lineman in the league. He's nasty as well, and now he's a doctor.
Can walk up to the line of scrimmage and say the doctor is in.
He can nicely. Also, you know what he can do? Yeah. He can go into the blue tent if he twists an ankle or something, and he can look at himself.
Right.
Right? He can check himself out. I'm good.
Right.
I can go back in.
He could injure a player and diagnose it.
There you go.
Coming up next, how persistence pays off, plus one of our colleagues thinks you should be tested if you're impressed with the Blondes run to the finals.
Wow.
Tested for crack.
Wow.
It's next on Golic and Wingo.
That's crack cocaine.
Sport Clips Haircuts and ESPN are teaming up for a Dad's Day getaway. An all-expenses-paid trip to ESPN and a day spent with Golic and Wingo on their show. Register for your chance to win at sportclips.com/ESPN. No purchase necessary. See rules at sportclips.com/ESPN. U.S. only. Age 18 and up and 6/15/18.
Plenty of sports to get to, but this Weezer story is great.
Yeah, it really is. It actually, so Weezer covering Africa, the campaign started last December when a 14-year-old named Mary set up a burner account. at Weezer Africa, an account, a Twitter account dedicated to asking Weezer to cover Africa. So they covered Rosanna, the song, as well, and then they did cover Africa. So that was pretty cool.
It was nice for them to pay that off.
Yeah.
I almost not single-handedly, in partnership with one of my former teammates, take credit for the revival of Africa and modern pop culture.
How was that?
Or at least at Notre Dame. So my buddy and I were in a class at Notre Dame, and one of the projects on the side our teacher always said is, if you do a presentation, an interpretive dance or song in class, you'll automatically get an A. So we said, done. We're shameless. We'll do this. And so we did an interpretive dance that included a sing-along to Africa by Toto in our class. One of our classmates, who at the time was interning at WNDU, the local NBC affiliate there in South Bend, brought that video to them and got it on the news. Not long after that, the Notre Dame marching band started playing Africa back at the football games. Not unconnected in this regard, and ever since then, it's enjoyed a modern renaissance that I think is traced back to that moment. Yeah, absolutely. Me and Brandon Newman.
Right,
we're going to get this video somehow.
Wow.
That's what Dan
I did see the video of them singing. It is very, very interesting. There's no doubt about it.
I did the karaoke, and Brandon did the interpretive dance. It's remarkable.
It was very good. You guys were very entertaining. Personal note for me, very quickly, happy anniversary to my wife, Chris.
Hey, congratulations.
Whoa.
No, this music. This is
in the immortal words of Vince Vaughn in Old School, Mike, earmuffs. Okay? Yeah.
I thought it'd be like some sort of celebratory music. Instead, that music had
Cliff went right to it. I mean, holy smokes.
Haven't we grown up enough? Haven't we gotten past
about a nice moment at anniversary? You're 31 with my wife, and immediately Cliff goes to porn. Good job out of you, Cliff.
Oh, no, you are not throwing me under the bus right now.
Yeah, no. Don't put this on
He saw me in the hallway. He saw me, he said, hey, make sure you got this music ready so I can say it to my son.
No,
in front of my son.
No, that's not true at all.
Wow.
That is not true at all.
This is why the exact text I just sent to my mom was, happy anniversary, Mom. Sorry it had to be with Dad.
Whoa, come on. Seriously. I got a question for you, though. First off, I love you, hon. 31 years together we've had. It's been an incredible ride that will keep on going.
Good for you guys.
Even though, we had these kids.
There's been some trials and tribulations.
They're the ones getting in the way.
I'm just saying, honestly. Mom, we're all in a good spot now. You don't need to keep sticking this out for us.
Why do I bring this up with you, Rob? This is supposed to be a nice moment with my wife and I and your mother, and this is what you do?
Listen, I'm happy for Mom. She has
Cliff,
been through a lot.
Play it again. This is what's going on later.
I was about to ask what your plans are.
Yeah!
Mom just landed from a flight. She is going to be sleeping all day. Good luck with that.
By the way, in a real question, when I said I want to talk about this, my anniversary, Mike said, oh, it's your anniversary. Congrats. Stanzik was just talking about his parents' 40th anniversary coming out. He knew the date. You didn't know it was you don't know the date of your parents' anniversary? And is that a common thing? I knew the date of my parents' anniversary.
I know the date of my parents' anniversary.
Obviously
it's May 30th.
You do not, because you acted surprised when I said I was going to say this.
I texted Mom before you said anything about it on air.
You're a liar. Now you're a liar.
You should know your parents' anniversary. I always call my mom's happy anniversary.
We agree we should know?
In all seriousness, this is Steve Jobs' fault, because I had it in the calendar on my phone, and I had it set to repeat every year so I would have that reminder, because we've got a lot of dates to remember, birthdays and phone numbers and all these things. Right. I wanted to remember the anniversary. Steve Jobs clearly robbed me of that ability, so I blame him.
Again, happy anniversary. Love you. Sorry your son Mike just ruined the day. Ruined the day.
Last thought on anniversaries. I think you should remember it. You should definitely wish parents happy anniversary, but you don't need to get a gift.
Oh, no, a kid shouldn't get parents' gift.
Right.
No.
Stanzik had brought that up one time. Should we get a gift?
No, absolutely
40th
not.
anniversary. There's no reason to get a gift.
No.
That's on Dad. Quite frankly.
That is on Dad, and I mean, the only real thing they want at this point is grandkids, and my brother and his wife are going to have to take care of that.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
All right, Adnan
God,
Virk,
can we move on now?
Wingo.
Such a tender moment that was just destroyed. Thanks, Mike.
I do what I can.
Yeah.
Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Fourth installment of Cavs and Warriors, the NBA Finals, right? We cannot wait. Cavaliers and Warriors. Maybe some people have fatigue of this. And some have been awfully impressed that LeBron James brought this Cavaliers team to the Finals. He dragged them there without Kevin Love. Game 7 on the road against Boston. It's going to go down one of the great achievements and one of the all-time greats in this profession. Stephen A. Smith would quibble with that.
Everybody that's salivating over what LeBron James has accomplished this year, go right ahead. I'm not one of them. This notion that LeBron James, we've got to put him in the same conversation as Michael Jordan. I want to officially announce to the world that anybody that's thinking like that should be tested for crack. You got to be kidding me. So you go up against an Indiana squad with Victor Oladipo emerging as a star and being a number one option for the first time in his career. He's going up against LeBron James in the first round. That took 7 games. The second round, you go up against a bunch of petrified puppies in Toronto. The only person that seemed to have any kind of heart was Kyle Lowry and Anunoby. And you swept them. And then in the conference finals, there's no Kyrie Irving. There's no Kyrie. And we want to act like LeBron James went through Larry Bird's Boston Celtics and Isaiah Thomas and the Bad Boy Pistons and Magic and Showtime Lakers. We want to act like they did that? Y'all got to be kidding me. I mean, please. Let's see what he does against Golden State.
I do love how he stuck the landing. I mean, the histrionics were at full tilt, and I'm like, hey, let's see what he does.
Let's see what he does. And the way it changed it, let's see what he does against Golden State.
I'm so conditioned at this point that at the end of all that, I was just expecting to hear a happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Wow. I mean, it's one thing to get fired up. It's another thing to literally incite a mass of people to
test it for crack.
I mean, that is unbelievable.
Wow.
If you honestly think LeBron, this is the greatest achievement of his life, then you should be
tested for crack.
He went right past the whole weed thing, didn't he?
Well, they say marijuana's a gateway drug.
Well, if Brian Colangelo is going to have 5 burner accounts, then he should be
tested for crack.
All right. So the deal with this, I mean, The comparisons are, which are just obviously going to go on and on because it's what you do, which you compare people, has been going on with Michael Jordan before the season started, then during the season when he was having a great season, and then certainly in the playoffs as well. You can only play who you play. I mean, it's not his fault who the opponents are, but I get it. It's in the columns of comparison of what you do, since you can't compare when people have played, is you have columns of pros and cons, and one is going to be the competition you play, which isn't your fault. It's just who's on the court, and he's so dominated all of them. I don't know if I'm making my case about whatever your case is, and I think it's really getting old and tired, the comparison of he and Jordan based on this one off season. Where I'm going to make my decision because he didn't play quality opponents that you can't compare him at all. I don't agree with that. I do agree the quality has been down, but I'm not putting a 15-year career on these last 3 series to say, well, there's no comparison because the last 3 series weren't played with competitive opponents that Michael Jordan supposedly played against.
Yeah, and
I did play against.
The comparison is certainly a part of this, but it seems like there's this pushback in general from Stephen A. And I wonder how popular this sentiment is, because the one thing we've seen is universal praise for LeBron James this postseason. We've heard the refrain really since he won the championship in Cleveland that his detractors have no leg to stand on now, and he's proven that in time and time again in this postseason in clutch moments. So it is strange, a place that we've arrived in for a guy that for so long was the subject of so much criticism, and sometimes it seemed unfair that now he gets blind praise in the other way. Not blind, but really universal praise now, knowing he's not going to win this title.
Yeah, it's amazing how we can't just enjoy the greatness, right? It's always put it in a box.
Always compare.
He's never going to be Jordan. He's never like, why can't we just say the guy's unbelievable?
Because you heard Kobe coming out and saying just enjoy it, and he obviously put his name in there.
Yeah, but what are you talking about? How's Kobe? Kobe
as well. Here's the only thing I'll say, and I don't want to get into an MJ and LeBron discussion, but the only thing, the one of the things that aggravates me is that one couldn't play in the other era. Forgetting it's LeBron, just they say guys today couldn't play in the era of the 80s when it was, because they always say who would win, Golden State or the 96 Bulls. Right. Oh, what rules are we playing by?
Right.
That whole thing, I'll tell you why it's tired. Because if you're a player of today, but you're just putting them into the 80s and saying they couldn't hack it, that's so unfair. That's ridiculous. If LeBron James or anybody in this era was born, Michael Jordan came into the draft the same year I did in 1985. So he was born in 62, right? So if these guys in today's game were born in 62 and grew up under that kind of basketball, don't we think that's the kind of basketball they would play? If the type of basketball you're playing is a physical game and you grew up with that, don't you think that's what you'd be playing? It's unfair to say, oh, the guys playing today, you put them in the 80s, they couldn't do it. Well, those guys were brought up in that era. That, to me, that's a lame argument. I think it's completely a lame argument.
Well, it is, and it's one that, like the LeBron-Jordan debate in general, can't ever be proven. So it's great fodder for barbershops and everywhere else where you want to sit and have this conversation, but it's all sort of useless at the end. What is useful is this idea that we're grading LeBron now on a different rubric and set of criteria in this postseason in particular. He can do whatever he wants this offseason now, and he's not going to get blamed nearly as much as he would, and he doesn't have to go out and win the finals to get credit for it at this point.
Plenty more NBA Finals conversation coming up later on in Golic and Wingo. Adnan Virk in for Trey alongside Golic and Golic Jr. Let's talk a little baseball. My man Buster Olney, ESPN's baseball insider, joining us in the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. Get triple action protection for optimal engine performance with Shell V-Power Nitro plus premium gasoline. Buster, good morning to you. Anthony Rizzo. I love the guy. He's a great player. He's obviously one of the stars of this game. But that slide was so clearly out of bounds. What happened to Anthony Rizzo? And I got to say, Buster, kudos to MLB saying, you know what, we missed that call. The ump should have said, no, you cannot go after the catcher like that.
Yeah, and you hope that you continue to have transparency like this from Major League Baseball. The other day I was having a conversation with a longtime player. He said, look, when these situations pop up, I just want to know what happened and what their thinking was. And so it was good that yesterday Joe Torre looked at a replay of that play, determined that Anthony Rizzo was not with a clear path to home plate, chose not to slide toward home plate, but chose instead to slide into the catcher. And despite the fact what the umpires ruled on the field, despite what was on review and what was determined on replay, backing up the umpires on the field, Joe Torre came out, with both the Pirates and the Cubs and let them know, no, that slide was out of bounds. And no one is saying that Anthony Rizzo is a dirty player. Everyone understands, as he said after the game, he was just trying to break up the double play. But clearly, he altered his path to try to take out the catcher. And that's something, moving forward, I think baseball will be more cognizant of.
I think, and I brought up before, Buster, is it a transition period? Is it what players were used to playing when they were coming up to break up a double play, and the Buster Posey rule basically protecting the catchers now? I've talked about this in the NFL with players that in the transition of how you can hit somebody now, they have to change their way. Is this kind of the same way in baseball? You have to change your mindset of I'm going to break up a double play no matter what to, now they have rules that are stopping me from doing it a certain way.
100%. I completely agree with you. And I think the reason why, the Pirates kind of lost their minds on this play, and a lot of fans lost their minds in the play, is that you don't see this very much anymore. So when, used to 10 years ago, if you'd seen a base runner take out a catcher with a slide like that, we wouldn't even blink. And that was the way it was. Anthony Rizzo was one of the holdovers of the guys who were saying, you know what, as you said, I'm going to try to do everything I can to break up a double play. And so he was just corrected by MLB, telling him, look, you can be aggressive, but you can't slide into the field. You have to take a direct path to the base.
Talking to Buster Olney, ESPN Major League Baseball insider on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. And Buster, I'm actually interested in a poll that you put up the other day midway through the season. Now, you said we've got the Red Sox and Astros, two of the best teams in baseball, on Sunday Night Baseball, June 3rd from Houston. If you could invest in one player over the next decade, who would it be? You said Mookie Betts, Carlos Correa, Aaron Judge, and Mike Trout. Mike Trout, the overwhelming runaway winner. But could you really construct an argument for one of these other players at this point?
You actually could construct an argument. And look, I'm kind of upset with you because I get to post the polls. I don't have to answer the questions. But if I had to answer the question, to me, it's Mike Trout. I remember having a conversation with Billy Epler, the general manager of the Angels, when there was speculation 2 years ago when the Angels were off to a bad start, would they put Trout on the market? And Billy's line to me was, would you trade Willie Mays at 24? You know, if you're the New York Giants, would you trade Hank Aaron at 24, 25 if you're the Milwaukee Braves? This guy's an Inner Circle Hall of Famer. He's an all-time great, so he, to me, is the choice. But you could make an argument for Correa because he's a middle infielder, and if you're talking about value, to have a middle infielder with that sort of excellence is tremendous. Mookie Betts just seems to be getting better all the time. And the one thing I think that's really missed about Aaron Judge, because we focus so much on the 450, 460-foot shots, is this guy has Joey Votto-like mastery of the strike zone. Like, this guy is a hitting technician. I saw Aaron Boone at the end of spring training. I'm like, hey, which player have you learned more about that you didn't know before? And he said, Aaron Judge, without a doubt. This guy's a killer. And he talked about the level of competitiveness in his at-bats. It's like every pitch is a seasoned Aaron Judge. So you could construct arguments, but I would agree. I think Trout is the guy.
Buster Olney, Baseball Tonight podcast with him. New episodes weekdays. Listen on the ESPN app and Apple Podcasts. Manny Machado on the game's greats, and the trade market is heating up already. The Cubs are the name that's being rumored out there. Obviously, they've got a real race in their hands because the Brewers are not going to wait, Buster. What are the odds of Machado to the Cubs?
I think slim. And look, last week Theo Epstein, the head of baseball ops for the Cubs, came out and said that the media members are way ahead of the actual market. And my response was guilty as charged. At this point, it's all speculation. It won't be until after next Monday's June draft that the teams will start to have these conversations. And the Cubs did have conversations with the Orioles during the offseason. Addison Russell was a name kicked around in a possible deal. But I think when push comes to shove, and it's a competitive bidding for Machado, and let's face it, one day some general manager is going to wake up and say, I think Manny Machado is the guy who's going to be the difference maker for us, either getting the postseason or in the postseason. So I'm willing to pay, 20% above retail to get him. In the end, the Cubs probably are not in a great competitive situation because they don't have the pitching to offer. The team, without a doubt, in the best competitive, I think, situation would be the Cardinals, who are absolutely loaded with pitching prospects. And during the course of the winter, the Orioles felt like that the Cardinals were moving the closest to a Machado deal. They talked about some young pitching. They talked about Jed Jerko. The Orioles thought the deal was going to get done, and then the Cardinals pulled back. Maybe they don't this summer.
Buster, we're about third of the way through the season now, so a good sampling of what teams are and aren't. So at this point, what's your biggest surprise and disappointment?
Well, the Dodgers have to be the biggest surprise, that they've sort of slogged along after having that tremendous season last year. We'll see if they're able to put it together. The National League West is unbelievably forgiving. So if you're the Giants, you're the Diamondbacks. For the Dodgers, you're the Dodgers. There's plenty of time. And for me, the Atlanta Braves on the plus side, they're so much fun to watch. Last night coming back from 4 runs down against the Mets with a walk-off home run at the end. That's a team. It'll be interesting when we talk about the third base market with Machado. They have a need there, and it looks like it's going to be an absolute buyer's market at third base, and they'll wind up with someone like a Josh Donaldson, a Mike Moustakas, or maybe they do get the Machado trade conversations. I doubt it, but that's a team to watch during the summer.
Jake Olney, by the way, big fan of the Braves as well. Buster.
That's right.
You mentioned
Huge
Donaldson.
Braves fan.
Yeah, you mentioned Donaldson, Buster. Obviously, hindsight's 20/20, but the Blue Jays are going nowhere. It's obviously a team that cannot compete anywhere near with the Yankees and the Red Sox. And Donaldson cannot stay healthy at his prime. He was the MVP. He's one of the best third basemen in the league, but now the trade market's crumbling. Where on earth is he going to go, and what is Toronto going to get for him?
Yeah, it's a heartbreaking situation for the Blue Jays because, as you know, as a Jays fan, there's been a conversation the last 2 years, when's the best time to move him? And with the benefit of 2020, you'd say last winter, but because now he essentially has no value because of the fact that he's hurt. There are already questions among teams about a 32-year-old player repeatedly with injuries. He's hitting under 250, and here's the real killer for the Blue Jays. He makes about $23 million this year, so any team that would take him on would have to pay $8 million for the last 2 months. I think this might be a situation like we saw with Jay Bruce last year, where teams are going to say, yeah, we might have interest in the player, but it's going to be a pure salary dump where the Blue Jays, all they get in return is either salary relief or a C+, B- prospect. And I mentioned, too, it works against them that there's so many third basemen available, and it appears so few teams actually looking for a third baseman.
Great stuff, as always, from Buster Olney. Follow him on Twitter. Listen to the podcast. On the way out, Buster, I'm sure you're aware of this Brian Colangelo story, the multiple burner accounts. Can you think of any possible good reason to have a burner account?
No.
Buster, come on. How many do you have? How many burner accounts you have?
Are you kidding? There's no way. In this day and age, I'm so untechnologically savvy, okay, that I'm sure it would be discovered within 0.2 seconds. It would be my son who probably would find it and say, Dad, what are you doing here?
That explains why I just got a tweet from an unnamed account asking why we have Tim Kirchin on so much.
Oh, wow.
Thanks, Buzz. Awesome.
Great stuff, Buzz.
Thanks, Buzz.
Take care. Bye.
At Trex, we know there's a place for wood in your backyard. We recommend the fire pit. But when it comes down to choosing the right material for your next deck, look no further than the superior beauty and durability of the world's #1 premium decking brand. Trex delivers the look of wood without all of the work and the worry, and it's made from 95% recycled materials, which makes it the right choice for your backyard 100% of the time. To learn how to make Trex your next deck, visit Trex.com to order samples.
Hey guys, this is Mike Golic.
And this is Trey Wingo.
You ever wish you could wake up early in the morning and have donuts with your dad and us?
For Father's Day this year, you can. We're teaming up with Sport Clips Haircuts for a Dad's Day getaway. An all-expense-paid trip to ESPN, including a day spent with us on the show.
Plus, my son Junior, it is for Father's Day, isn't it?
Register for your chance to win online at sportclips.com/ESPN and make priceless memories.
No purchase necessary. See rules at sportclips.com/ESPN. U.S. only. Age 18 and up and 6/15/18.
I've got a great story of mistaken identity coming up 30 minutes from now.
Really?
Ooh.
Okay.
This is an all-timer. I've been sitting on this one for 3 weeks. I wanted to tweet it out, and I go, no, Golic and Wingo, when am I doing it next? Big audience. I'll share it with the entire country.
All right. Nice tease. There you go.
It's fantastic.
Oh, boy. You're really building it up. It better live up.
I can't wait.
Lost in all of this is that Cliff is apparently a snitch.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth?
Who knew?
Yeah. Witness protection, Cliff.
And by the way, I did mention it was my 31-year anniversary, me and my wife, to which Robert said, happy 31st anniversary, Golic. Also celebrated my 31st with my lovely wife. I took her to Punta Cana. Where are you taking? What are you going to do?
Go for lunch.
Going to lunch. Yeah, going to lunch.
Dude, show tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Congrats, dude. Okay, you outdid me. All right, congrats.
Yeah, you know? Just like Costanza. Congrats, Stanzik. Yeah. You remembered the date of your parents' anniversary.
Did you call me Costanzik?
He called you Costanza.
He did. Yeah. Cut it. Rip him.
It wasn't like Costanza. He called you Costanza.
I thought he was doing Costanza like a Seinfeld joke or something.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I deserve this. So anyway, burner accounts, right? I tell you guys.
All right. Golic called me Adam. Golic Jr. is now called Dan Stanzik Costanza.
Yeah.
We've been taking your voicemails of potential reasons to have a burner account. This one actually makes some sense.
Best reason why to have a burner account is to stay one step ahead of your kids. You ought to know where they are at all times. Stay one step ahead of them.
Well, you know what? There's part of the people that'll say, oh, it's your privacy, your kids. But listen, when you're a parent, if you ain't a parent, you say, I don't want to hear it. You know, when you have kids, you do what you have to do at times to make sure you want to know what they are, know they're safe. Maybe sometimes it's overprotection. By the way, that movie Blockers kind of went into
influenced by Blockers.
Kind of exactly. But there's part of me that can see that, to see what your kids are up to. You want to know what they're doing.
Oh, it changes the way that you go about social media. Bomani Jones, I actually have to give him credit for this. The Right Time with Bomani Jones podcast and High Noon with him and Pablo Torre coming very soon. He always had this take. There are two sections of Twitter that exist. There's Twitter for people that know their mom's on Twitter, and there's Twitter for everybody else. Because you operate entirely differently when you know that mom might be seeing whatever you're posting. And I do the same thing. I got to make sure that I don't want to get a text from mom after something that I tweet, so I got to make sure it's ready to go through that filter.
Yeah, don't press send, as Herm would say. Our Father's Day feature brought to you by Sport Clips. Visit sportclips.com/ESPN for a chance to hang with us as part of the Dad's Day Getaway, brought to you by Sport Clips Haircuts. Maybe some dads with burner accounts. We don't know. Nick Saban, though, speaking of big names when it comes to anything in sports, whenever Nick Saban speaks, you have to listen for good reason. And he's made news in recent years for blocking his players from transferring within the SEC, and says he doesn't understand why he has taken heat for doing so. Take a listen to what the Alabama head coach had to say.
Then we should change the rule. I don't think it should be on me. I think we should change the rule.
Right, if we agree in the SEC at these meetings that we're going to have free agency in our league and everybody can go wherever they want to go when they graduate, and that's what's best for the game, and I think that's what we should do. Then Brandon Kennedy can go wherever he wants to go. But if we don't do that, why is it on me? Because we have a conference rule that says he can't do it. And he can do it, but he's supposed to sit out for a year. So why is it on me? It's not even my decision. It's a conference rule. I always give people releases. And he has a release to go wherever he wants to go, but the conference rule says he can't go in conference. So why is that on me?
All right, a couple things there. First and foremost, the difference, because he mentioned about after graduating and not. If you're a fifth-year transfer, like my son Jake did when he went to Cincinnati, what I did not know, Jake got his degree at Notre Dame. I mean, so fulfilled, that commitment to Notre Dame. I didn't know he still needed permission from Notre Dame to go to whatever school he was going to go to. I thought, wait a minute, he fulfilled his obligation on the field and in the classroom, and he graduated. He should be free to go where he wants. He's not. You have to get permission, but you don't have to sit that year. Obviously, before that, if you go somewhere, you have to sit that year. So I get what Nick Saban is saying about change the rule. Then we don't have to worry about it. Don't put it on us as coaches, who are free agents all the time, by the way, as well. But for those that don't want to put the players and the coaches on the same level, that's fine. But he said, change the rule then, so it's not up to me. But then on the other side of it, he's hiding behind the rule, because there are more than a few coaches within the SEC who let players give the permission to grant them to go to another school in the SEC, correct? So he can do it. So in a way, he's kind of hiding behind the rule, say, hey, ain't on me, it's a rule. Well, no. Not when other coaches are choosing to say, yeah, you can transfer within the conference. He doesn't have to because it's a rule, but others are doing it. So in my eyes, he can't really hide behind that.
Yeah,
thing.
You can give him a waiver. You can sign a waiver that says he can transfer within the SEC. And for kids that have graduated, you can want to have the larger conversation about undergraduate transfer, sure.
Right.
But he fulfilled that obligation. He gave you his time, and in return, he didn't feel like he was getting enough out of his football and he wanted to go elsewhere. To me, this reeks a lot of, because he said change the rule, and you know what? I would agree with that, because putting this in the hands of the coaches clearly is a misguided attempt. We always say take the helmet out of the players when it comes to concussion rule, because they're not equipped enough at times to be in the best interest of themselves health-wise. They want to be out on the field. Well, coaches, we can't count on them to act in the best interest of the players, because it's going against their own self-interest sometimes. If this kid goes to a school in the SEC, it might affect Nick Saban. It might affect their bottom line. And we know that's what those coaches are there to do. They're there to win football games. They're there to protect what they've got. So they can't handle the responsibility. Let's vote and get that out of their hands. Let's make sure that Nick Saban doesn't have the power.
I do agree with
this,
that.
because they clearly, and Will Muschamp and others who are doing this and allowing these kids to go, that's great, but not every coach is willing and able to do that. So let's take it out of their hands. Let's listen to Nick.
You're right. Will Muschamp allowed former running back David Williams to transfer to Arkansas last offseason, and that's the way it should be. Listen, if the player is not in your plans, why would you hold them back, right? I mean, I get if you're going to a rival and such, but again, if you think he's a good player, he'd be on your team. If you don't want him on your team, go wherever you want.
Even if he's a good player, sometimes these players still want to go somewhere, and you're losing a good player. But so I just think this is two sides of the coin. He's hiding behind the rule when others, you can easily sign the waiver. You can easily let a kid do it if you want to do it. But he's saying, no, the rule is the rule. But to your point, Mike, and I agree, change the rule. Completely, and the analogy you gave is exactly right. You're saving the players from themselves with a concussion protocol. This is talk about not in the interest of a head coach to be letting players go within a conference. Take it out of their hands completely.
Here's a little insider travel secret. There are tons of empty hotel rooms out there just waiting to be booked. That's why there's Hotel Tonight. Hotel Tonight partners with awesome hotels to help them fill their unsold rooms, which means you get incredible deals. And even though the name's Hotel Tonight, you can actually book up to a week in advance and up to 100 days in advance in top destinations. So download the Hotel Tonight app to start scoring better deals at better hotels now.
Distance makes the heart grow fonder.
We will actually, it's absence makes the heart grow fonder, but distance is close enough.
Is it really absence?
Absence makes the heart.
The actual saying is absence
makes the heart grow.
Maybe
fonder.
that'll be in etymology at one point.
We're not taking requests, you guys.
Whoa!
Wow! Brett, a.k.a. Pusha T on that one. Sports Center, brought to you by Goodyear. During baseball season, players are more driven to work hard, prove themselves early, and earn their position. Goodyear knows all about being more driven, too. They work hard for you every day, earning a position on your vehicle and on the road. Order Goodyear tires from a local dealer near you.
All right, it's time for what's become a segment that's sweeping the nation. Are you staying in here, or are you going in the other room? My son usually leaves us to go hang out with his younger crew in there to do this. It's up to you.
Yeah, so I got to stick to my guns on this one, guys.
Turn your mic on. You are a professional.
Good last segment for you. Don't even turn your mic on. Get out.
Despite that betrayal by Cliff, I'm going to join the back room.
Get out. Bretomology brought to you by Discover Card, who will match all the cash back new card members earn at the end of their first years. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply. Adnan, you have not, Adnan in for Trey, you have not been part of Bretomology yet, have you?
That's correct. I have
so
not.
What Brett, who, loves nothing more than not only to research the show, but beyond the show as well.
Right.
What he does is he gives a famous saying that's out there. He'll give it to us, and then he'll give us two definitions. One is the correct definition, one is made up. And what we've learned, the made-up definitions are unbelievably good. Okay. So he's going to give us the phrase, two definitions, and then we choose one or two on the definitions.
Okay.
At this point, Wingo is 21 for 32. I'm 14 for 28. Junior is 4 for 8, and then we've had a few other people.
Chris Canty went 2
Chris
for 4.
Chris Canty 2 for 4. Jeff Saturday 1 for 4. And you, obviously, it's your first time here. So, Brett, take it away. Bretomology.
All right, your
Good
first
setup.
phrase. Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Okay.
Whoa!
Okay.
I did that on my own volition. It wasn't a
No.
request.
You took a request.
Is it from the Roman poet Sextus Propertius, coined the phrase in his life's work, the four-volume Elegy? Sextus wrote, quote, "Always toward absent lovers does love's tide flow stronger," and the phrase evolved to its current form from there.
I hope he made up Sextus.
Or is it from friend of the program Bill Shakespeare, who debuted the phrase in A Midsummer Night's Dream? The week before her arranged marriage to Demetrius, Hermia confides in her best friend Helena about her long-lost love Lysander, saying to her, quote, "I cannot bear life without him longer, for in his absence my heart grows only fonder."
Yeah, it's got to be Shakespeare.
I think,
Shakespeare. The other Sextus is not. That's made up.
I
Shakespeare.
think I'm going with Bill as well. We're both going number 2.
We're all going Sextus.
Sextus is right.
Are you kidding?
Seriously.
Sextus sounds like the most made-up name ever.
See, that's what I mean. The made-up stuff is unreal. Wow. Bill was made up.
Phrase number 2. No man is an island.
No man is an island.
Okay. Is it from the English poet John Donne, who also coined the phrase, "for whom the bell tolls"? In a short poem he wrote in 1624, Donne said, quote, "No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main." Or is it from Napoleon? After his capture by the British in 1814, he was exiled to the island of Elba, where he quickly developed a rivalry with the commanding officer, Colonel Neil Campbell. Napoleon and Campbell had a series of written exchanges. In one, Campbell poked at Napoleon's lack of manpower by saying, quote, "No man is an army." Napoleon's simple response was, "No man is an island," which was foreboding, as Napoleon escaped from Elba 2 weeks later and was defeated for good at Waterloo the following year.
Excellent misdirection, but it's obviously one. I love Hemingway. I know for whom the bell tolls. John Donne. It's number 1 for sure.
Was he on the island of Elbow, did you say?
It's Elba.
Elba. Okay, that was
one
an
for
Elbow.
sure. John Donne.
It's one for you. He seems awfully confident, does Adnan?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to go with him and say it's 1 as well.
Adnan is correct.
Oh, well done, Adnan.
That one. As soon as he dropped the Hemingway, I'm like, no, I got this.
Wow.
No man is an island.
Wow. Okay.
Fly in the ointment.
Fly in the ointment.
Yeah.
Is it from the Bible? Ointment was the name for the ceremonial substance one was anointed with. Nowhere is there more anointing than in the Bible, as shown in Ecclesiastes 10:1 of the King James Version. Quote, "Dead flies cause the ointment of the apothecary to send forth a stinking savour." Or from the ancient Egyptian chancellor Imhotep, as Adnan knows, the bad guy in The Mummy. He was considered by many to be the world's first great doctor. He left famously detailed logs of his life, and based on his translated instructions for wound care, it would appear he also understood infection, warning that when applying a substance to a wound, quote, "the ointment must be kept free of pests to remain effective."
So we're talking about the Bible or a wound?
I think it's Egypt. I think it's number 2. What do you think?
I'm going to go with the Bible in number 1.
Okay, I'm going to go with 2.
It's from the Bible.
What? What? Yes! Oh, wow! Yes! What a stunner! Calling!
Yes!
Wow.
I also 100% made up that Emotep story.
That was really good.
That's excellent.
Really good. Doesn't he do that well? I told you.
Brother Maltese bringing it.
And your final phrase, Grand Slam.
Grand Slam?
Grand Slam.
I know this one, guys. It's from Denny's.
Without a doubt, it's from Denny's. There's no question about that. Don't even try and fake me out with anything else.
Good answer. Good answer.
I like the good answer. Yeah, very good. Very Family Feud-esque. I love it.
All right. Did it begin in baseball? The famed author and sports writer Ring Lardner coined the term while covering the 1917 White Sox for the Chicago Tribune. He used it to describe a long home run hit by Happy Felsch with the bases loaded in Game 2 of the World Series. The term was later appropriated by other sports starting in the 1930s, conveniently as the 4 runs in a Grand Slam in baseball lined up well with the 4 major events in both golf and tennis. Or is it from the card game Bridge? Much like in the other card game Hearts, when one can shoot the moon by losing every hand, in Bridge, it is called a small slam if you win 12 of the 13 tricks in a round, and a grand slam if you win all 13.
Wow. Certainly not my thought when I say shooting the moon, but that's a whole other topic.
31st anniversary.
We're talking either baseball or bridge.
Correct.
I'm going with the card game. I'm going with bridge.
I love Ring Lardner. John Sayles, 8 men out. Hap Felsch, Charlie Sheen. But that feels like a misdirection. I'm going to go also with Bridge. I know nothing about Bridge.
Number 2. We're going number 2.
Yeah.
Well.
It's from Bridge.
It's a Bridge. Yeah!
Ring Lardner, legendary sports player. I'm like, I would have known Ring Lardner.
So Adnan got he got 2.
I got 2.
And I got 3, I believe. I think I got 3 out of 4.
Ring Lardner.
Trey is certainly playing at home somewhere.
What's that?
Trey is certainly playing
absolutely
Wingo's
playing at
terrific
home.
at this. 21 for 32.
So what do you think? What do you think of the segment?
I love this game.
See, you know what we're doing? We're teaching people. Teaching them phrases and where they come from. But like I said, the made-up ones are incredible.
I cannot believe flying the ointment is from the Bible. Mike, you were onto that.
Oh, listen, come on. Read it daily.
Catholic boy, he knows his stuff growing up.
The Grand Slam, you're right. Always Denny's. I've told the story. I came from a bachelor party one time. I don't remember whose it was because it was a bachelor party. And we were in a party bus. There were 8 of us when we went to Denny's and ordered 24 Grand Slams.
Well,
it was
you know
awesome. And they just started bringing, and we just kept throwing all the eggs on one plate, the pancakes on one plate. It was fantastic.
I mean, you guys were definitely shooting the moon in that instance.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure we shot the moon somewhere that night. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Not sure how you felt the next day.
Yeah, uh-huh.
All right. Thanks so much to Mike Golic Jr. As always, first and last. Check him out every morning. He's the best from 4 to 6. He'll be back here tomorrow, right, Mike? Perfect. He'll be back here again with us. Coming up the next couple hours, we'll talk more NBA Final, a little Stanley Cup Final conversation, a great story about a doctor, Golic and Wingo presented by Progressive Insurance, and mistaken identity for me. It's next. You won't believe it.